Hey everybody, so today we're going to be talking about Part C of your HI, also known as the reflection. So just a quick summary. This section of the internal assessment task requires students to reflect on what undertaking their investigation highlighted to them about the methods used by and the challenges facing the historian. So this is going to be about 300 to 400 words. You could probably go a little under. But you don't want to go over because use those words for your actual paper and not this kind of pointless part. I shouldn't say pointless because it's an easy 3 points, but not as important as the rest of your paper. So basically the 3 things you have to do to get those 3 easy points is number 1, you have to focus on what the investigation highlighted to you about the methods used by the historian. So basically it wants us to say what we learned from the investigation. 2, it wants you to acknowledge the challenges facing the historian and or limitations of the methods. So that's going to be something like evaluating bias in your sources. And then number 3, it wants you to make connections to your actual investigation. So use specific examples when you had to look for bias or something like that. So we're gonna look at an example real quick. This is Laura Boyle's paper, shout out. So in one of the paragraphs of her reflection, she says, "I had not planned to do as much research on the history of forced sterilization in the United States when I began the investigation. However, as I began evaluating whether the fears of genocide were justified, I realized how important historical precedent was." So she's providing a specific example to her paper, which I've highlighted in green. That's going to be that 3rd band of the mark scheme that we just looked at. And then she's also talking about what she learned, which was, I think, kind of the 1st band of the mark scheme. So then she goes on, "For a historian to do a thorough job, they have to research not only the event in question, but also the actions that led to it happening." So now she's talking about what the historian's doing when they're doing an actual investigation. So that's that 3rd portion of the mark scheme that they wanted you to hit. So Laura's doing a great job here. And she has one more place where she kind of hits all those 3 bands again. And that's what you're going to want to do. You don't want to do it just once. You're probably going to want to give 2 kind of examples of where you did that. So those 2 examples should be different, and going back up to those kind of guiding questions, they should probably answer 2 different questions. So for example, let's see, we've got, what methods used by the historian did you use in your investigation? So you could talk about research, or I think Laura talked about historical precedent, so that's an important one. And then reliability of sources. So she talked about also a little bit about extremist sources and how important those can be in her argument. And you probably want to go with some of these highlighted questions because a couple of the other ones can be a little bit nebulous, like what constitutes a historical event? Probably don't want to do that one, it's pretty hard. But the highlighted ones are going to be pretty easy for you to answer in 300 to 400 words, which is kind of the maximum that you want to go. Alright, thanks for watching, and just to sum up, remember these 3 kind of big points, and you should be able to get 3 or 4 on your reflection. Alright, good luck!